welcome to this edition of A Conversation With. I'm Jim Marshall of the New Bedford Cable Network. We have a special show today. Major Michael Jung of the Salvation Army of Greater New Bedford is here to talk about the holiday season and all the work that you and your volunteers are doing right now. And I can't imagine all the work that you and your volunteers are doing right now. And we're midway through December, and it's got to be crazy right now.
It's been a very busy 9 months actually, because this has been happening. COVID's been taking place since the middle of March, so it's been a busy 9 months.
You've been here for a couple of years now. You're dealing with this pandemic. Anything that you've dealt with in your career helping you prepare for what you've had to deal with the last 9 months? I can't imagine the things you've had to come up with.
It's been tough. It's been hard, but it's the fact that my wife and I were trained during 9/11.
Okay.
So that has been helpful to us, and that experience has taught us to be flexible, and it has taught us to be able to prepare for the unexpected, and so that has have been a very positive thing for us. But also in our life, we both grew in a tough situation. And so growing up poor, growing up in a tough environment helped us prepare as well.
Every year, the campaign, I know during the Christmas season, you read about it in the paper, and the people of this community always seem to come through. Even last minute, they seem to come through and deliver when you need the help. Yep. But I would imagine this year is, not that they won't come through, but this year just the challenge that your faces are just multiple than you've seen before.
Yeah, the challenge has been great. The amount of people we're serving is 4 times the normal rate. We're serving 400% more. So that's a greater amount of people that we're serving, and unexpectedly. So we are, at one point, we were serving 800 families. Wow. Normally, before that, we served about 150.
And you're dealing with more than just the food pantry aspect of it, because I've seen state figures, when we had Victoria from the United Way here just a few weeks ago. I mean, 1 in 7 people in Massachusetts are going hungry right now, but you're dealing with more than that, rent and bills and what have you.
Absolutely.
I mean,
absolutely. But also the emotional, spiritual struggles that people are having. Mm-hmm. Our staff is equipped with emotional spiritual care. It's to help them through this emotional crisis that they're facing. So the pandemic is just not attacking with the virus, but it's also affecting people's emotion, spiritual, and mental state of being. And so our staff and our people are equipped to handle that, and they're equipped to listen to the needs of that. And when someone's crying on your shoulders, what do you do? You know?
That's got to be a hard thing to do when you don't really think about the mental aspect. There's been a lot of isolationism because of this. Families can't see each other.
Depression.
Yeah.
You know, abuse.
Well, yeah.
You know, families are, people are together more, and they're getting tired, they're getting frustrated, they're getting upset that they can't do what's normal. And so being home, you know, what's the next step for them? They can't get the help that they need. So we have to step into those roles sometimes and be that shoulder they cry on in a social distance way.
Yeah.
We need to be able to be their shoulder, and that's been a challenge as well.
I was just you just brought it up, and I'm kind of curious here. I don't want to say technology, but the way you do things has, obviously it's made it more difficult, but what have you learned about your, in a sense, organization, just dealing with things in a COVID restricted way?
I've been very fortunate with my staff and my volunteers. They are very flexible, they're very giving, and they're very caring people, and so they've learned to adjust. You know, we have gone from having youth programs and children's program, and now we're doing it on Zoom meetings, and that's been a challenge. Mm-hmm. We're not technically savvy people naturally, so we had to learn how to be technical savvy. We had to learn how to operate a Zoom meeting. We had to learn how to do those things, and then to teach others, because you know, Some folks don't know how to use the computer,
Yeah.
and we have to teach them how to use the computer, and we have to show them this is what you need to do. So that's been a challenge, and getting them on board, and reaching out to them and having that visitation with them and walking them through the situation and saying, it is through COVID, but you still have someone you can talk to. So you got someone you can reach out to, and we're there for them.
It probably changed the way, too, that your organization just technically, I don't want to say buying new things, but just getting things that you need to do the jobs, just the regular jobs that you need to do.
We have used more online purchasing
Yep.
because of the COVID. We have to protect our staff too. We have to protect ourselves. So online orders purchases are being ordered more online now.
Your organization is such a hands-on organization and such a people. And you talk about the increase in people that need the help. Are you able, I guess this is more of an opinion question, are you able to reach the people that you want to reach and help them the way that you normally help them with I don't want to say restrictions, but with the challenges you're facing?
We are still able to reach them.
Yep.
We just have to be more conscious of how we do it.
Okay.
And we have to find a way to meet their needs, but keep our staff and our people safe.
So what are some of the challenges that you looked at that?
How we do our food pantry. We went from being a choice food pantry twice a month to now every week.
Really?
And now the food is pre-packed. That means my staff, we had to bring people in to help us pack this food. It's a lot of food to pack for. At one time it was 800 families. That's a lot of manpower but we also have the limitations of how many people we could be in the building.
Well, that's true, yeah.
And so you're asking for a small staff to do a work of a lot of people, and that's been a challenge. And so it worked well. Like I said, we have a great team.
Has the volunteers, and I know the volunteers there that I've met over the years have been amazing, and they keep coming back too.
Yep.
Have you been able to maintain the level of volunteerism that you have in the past?
We had to limit how many volunteers that could be in the building.
So it's not people that wanted to help, it's you had to limit.
We had to limit.
Yeah.
We had to limit because we only could have so many people in the building. And we had to make sure it's consistency as well. We can't bring new people every single day. These are volunteers who have been with us since March.
Okay.
Volunteering on a regular basis. And so we tried to limit how many people are coming into that building so that we keep them safe from the COVID.
So you're basically, when somebody comes into the food pantry, you're just handing them, for lack of a better word, a box and saying, I would assume it's based on the size of the family too, the box, but
yeah.
For the most part.
We try to serve, and within those boxes, about 35 meals.
Okay.
So if that stretches for one person, that's great. If it's a bigger family, it might make it certain amount of meals. But we were available for them every week, so they can come back weekly for food.
It must be because you've been here for a while now, seeing the people who are asking for help. Probably these are people you've met that have never asked for help. It must be
about a fourth of the people are returning people. About 3/4 of the people are new.
That's got to be, people you've probably worked with. It's
Yep.
got to be, I don't want to say shocking, but it's got to be frustrating when you see that.
I've seen some volunteers coming for help.
Really?
People who were giving now are receiving, and so that's been a challenge. Or people who they lived paycheck to paycheck are out of job. So what do you do then?
We are talking with Major Michael Jung of the Salvation Army here at Greater New Bedford. He has been very busy over the last, obviously, couple of weeks here as we get ready for the holiday season. One of the things I want to emphasize, too, for people is obviously they think of you during the holiday season because of the campaign and what have you, but you are a year-round organization.
Yep. Need has no season. Need is something that happens all year long. And so people think it's just toys. It's not. There's needs of food, there's needs of clothes, there's needs of rent, there's needs of utilities. All those needs are there regardless of Christmas. Christmas happens during a season, but the need is always there.
And when you look at, I mean, I would assume like right now with rent issues, for example, people are out of work and what have you, and so you've got the combination now of food, but now the rent, because people are not working and they haven't been able to pay it. I mean, the demands on the organization have grown exponentially because of the challenges.
Yep.
What are some of the things you're hearing from your people seeking the help when it comes to housing or what have you?
Because of the fact that for a while they were allowed to stay in their houses and they can't be removed from their homes because of COVID, are now starting to face evictions. I'm not sure if that has been lifted, but people are getting concerned.
I think the end of the year is the deadline for a lot of folks, yeah.
So they're concerned, how am I going to pay rent? Where's that money coming from? And there's so much, the money is limited, you know? If you don't move quickly, and then they're worried that they don't get a response because we're all playing catch up with the phones, you know? The calls are constantly coming in, more faster than we could even answer them.
For those that don't know, and I admit I don't know, tell me a little bit about your staffing right now. When you say that you're behind, and I truly believe that.
Yeah.
For people that don't know, what's it like in your office right now? How many people are in there answering phones? And I know you're answering phones and what have you, and your wife are.
Yeah.
But I don't think people appreciate what staff you have right now.
Yeah. Right now we have about 4 people answering phones on a regular basis, but at the same time they're also registering people. They're also, for Christmas, they're also serving the food. So there are days when they can't answer phones, they have to do the other stuff because of the limited staff, we have to do all the tasks. So most of the times, as best we try to pick up all the calls as best we can, but a lot of calls get behind because of the fact that we're busy serving food, we're busy feeding the community, we're busy registering people for Christmas.
You have the daily food thing, not the food pantry, but you serve meals too.
Yep.
Yeah,
we serve meals 7 days a week.
Right.
With the support of mobile ministries, they do 3 days, we do 4 days, and so with that team, that cooperative teamwork that we have with them, we're able to serve the community 7 days a week.
And I think that's amazing when you talk about, like you said before, at one point you had 800 families and you're staffing, and you have to be safe. Your staffing can't go meet the need of those 800 families per se, just answering the calls and what have you.
Yep. That's hard. Yep. It can't be in both places at one time.
Right.
You know?
And I would assume that a phone call isn't just a quick 5-minute thing,
No.
because you talked about registering, and I assume that takes time.
It takes time, but the emotional, spiritual care. Somebody stops and says, "This is what I'm going through." We're not just going to hang up the phone on them.
Right.
We're going to walk them through the process. We're going to walk them through until they get to a point where they're feeling better, as much as we can, to help them take that pressure off of them,
I'm curious, from when you talk about the spiritual and mental health, has that been an even bigger issue than, and I know money's a big issue, but I would assume that because you can't place money, there's no quick fix for the mental and spiritual issue. I would imagine that that's a tougher job for you than just the money.
It is. The emotional, spiritual care has been a tougher job, absolutely. Just taking that moment, spending with the pressures of doing other things. You want to take that moment and spend time with that person and pray for that person and guide them through that moment. And the demands are right behind you, saying you gotta move quickly to meet this demand or that demand. And the reality is, the demand we need to meet is taking care of their emotional, spiritual needs.
Your job is probably 24/7 right now, the way it's going.
Absolutely, yep.
Just talk about the holiday campaign, because I want to talk about the year-round stuff too, the things that you guys are doing on an annual basis.
Yep.
But just with the holiday, you mentioned too, briefly, you said it's not just toys.
It's not just toys.
Explain to folks what it is. I mean, obviously dollars help, but explain to folks about what is the need? What do people need?
The need is great. The need has increased over 400 times the amount. We have served a lot of families up to this point.
Food?
Food, toys, clothes.
What kind of clothing? When you say clothing?
We are providing coats for
Okay.
kids. We serve close to about 2,000 kids at this point.
Wow.
Over 1,000 families at during this time. More than maybe as much as last year. I'm not sure, but we've served a lot. It's constant coming. You know, people are coming constantly to our doors, knocking, asking for help, and so to get a real count on it, it's going to take some time. But just even though we're raising the same amount as last year, the need is greater than that. And
I was surprised. I saw, and I was talking to you off the
Yep.
camera earlier about a national story. I was surprised that in that piece, one of the things that they're talking about too are baby supplies,
yes,
food,
yes,
diapers.
yep.
And I didn't even think of that.
We at our site collected diapers since March to give to babies, and it was constantly people are constantly coming to our doors asking for diapers and wipes and baby products to help their kids. And we had to we're still collecting to help as many as we can for the situation.
And it's funny because I think people have a perception, okay, clothes and toys, but there's so many other things when you look at the basic needs of
Yep.
families. There's other things that you try to come up with for them.
Yep. I mean, like again, the baby supplies. We think about those things, or even school supplies. You know, for the kids.
Yep.
People assume because they're out of school that they don't need supplies. They still need notebooks. They still need pens and pencils. There's bigger need now for computers.
Yeah.
You know, we served.
I was going to say, did you help them?
We served 65 computers in June last
Wow.
year for families that needed computers through the Senator Montigny grant, and those families needed help to help them get through that school. And some of them, you know, the parents don't understand computers. Some of the parents, you know, these parents are being forced to become teachers,
Yeah.
and some of them barely speak English,
Right.
and now they're being forced to be a teacher on top of that. That's tough. Or parents are forced to leave their jobs to become teachers
Yep.
because they need somebody to watch their kids. You know, going unemployed because of that. You know, because they don't want somebody else raising their kids.
You talked about too. Obviously, you're based here in the city, but you handle the surrounding towns too.
Yep.
Is it different? Are the needs different per se in the smaller communities? Is it harder to do what you do in the smaller communities?
I think it's very similar.
Okay.
It's very similar. From what I'm hearing from my co-workers, my fellow officers, they're facing the same challenges we are. The increase has been great, as much as we have been great, and so they're doing the best job they can out there.
Let's talk a second, because I mean, I wanted you to emphasize too that the year-round things that go on.
Yeah.
For people that are thinking in the calendar and whatever, you know, and they look at you, you know, March, and you know, after the holidays are done, you're still doing the stuff, and you're still taking in
Yeah,
donations, right?
absolutely.
And people are, I would assume, are still applying or seeking help.
Seeking help, yes. It might not be twice, it might not be close, but still food.
Mm-hmm.
We still work with the homeless population. We're our
Okay.
feeding program, so they have needs as well, and we collect blankets for them. So when they're out there sleeping and they need a blanket, we have blankets available for them. You know, they come and ask for socks. They come ask for coats. They ask for clothes. We're available for them. They're hungry. They need food. Sometimes they just need to come for emotional, spiritual care. Like I bring that up constantly, but it's true. They might need someone to talk to because they're lonely.
Well, you've heard, I mean, we had Deb Lee on here from the senior, and she said one of the biggest issues there, just senior citizens are facing, are the mental issues.
Yep, absolutely.
Because of the isolationism. But I assume that you're seeing it too with kids.
Absolutely.
And I don't know, you know, not being an expert obviously in my part, I don't know what you say to kids, but they've got to be feeling certainly isolated, that's for sure.
Yes. I have kids of my own, and they're facing challenges as well. So seeing my own children facing challenges, and obviously there are other children who are facing challenges.
And dealing with an 18-year-old or a teenager is different than dealing with a 5 or 6-year-old, but they're still, the challenges are still there.
Yep.
One of the things too that, I mean, you guys talk about the rent and payments, bill payments and what have you, and I would assume that, especially right now, fuel aid, people are looking to keep warm, especially as snow is in the forecast. That must ease up as a little bit in the summertime, but it
picks up in the winter.
Picks up in the winter, and when you look at your donations, do they come in at a good clip still off season? And I use the season being the holiday season as what you're doing, but are they still coming in throughout the year?
It is.
Okay.
It is. We get majority of our donations during the holiday season.
Yeah.
But a third of our donations come in off season.
What are the biggest things too that you're looking at off season? I mean, obviously we get the coats, but you're still needing regular clothes, and I mean, I didn't even think about socks.
Yep. When they're wet, they need to replace that socks.
Yeah.
So it's a challenge. Yeah.
And have you been? I mean, obviously in your tenure here in New Bedford, you must be amazed at the response that the community's always done for you.
I'm amazed. We have a great community in New Bedford and the surrounding areas, caring people who just want to step up and help, finding ways to help. How can I join you guys? How can I help you guys? What can I do for you so that you can meet the needs of the community? Some want to be part of that service. How can we be part of giving to the community? You know, can we sign up to feed the community as well? Can I come up and volunteer to help serve the meals? Can I come and help pass out food? So we have those folks who want to do that. Others who might not want to be in contact with people, so they might want to write a check and say, you know, or charge on their credit card, or give cash donation and say, how can I help in that way?
Talk a little bit about the people who volunteers.
Yeah.
How do people do that? Is there, for lack of a better word, an application they go to online?
They do have to follow. They do need to come in and fill an application. We want our folks to be safe, so we do have an application. They have to fill out the core in the story for them to fill out, so that our people are safe in the building. And then after they fill it out, we process that, see if the person clears and everything, and then once they clear, then we call them back and say, come on in and we can place you in what you want. What would you like to volunteer in?
I was going to say, so there's different things you can volunteer for.
Yes. Food pantry, feeding program, and other things.
And obviously, is there an age limit? Or I've seen kids.
We do have kids come and volunteer.
Yeah.
As long as they have a responsible adult with them. And I seriously say that, a responsible adult.
Yeah.
That's not going to just drop them off and
see ya.
See ya. We want adults to come and volunteer with the children.
Okay.
Yep.
What about for people that, again, and I'm not talking specifically for Christmas here per se, but if people need assistance, how do they go about doing it right now?
They can come, call us, or they can walk. They can come to our place and
you can walk in.
They can walk in.
Okay.
We're open from 9 to 3, and they can come and ask for assistance, and we will hook them with a counselor, and the counselor will walk them through.
I'm curious too. I mean, you talk about the spiritual help. You obviously provide Sunday service as well. Tell people a little bit about that.
Salvation Army is a church. We have Bible study. We have Sunday services. We have a women's group. We have the children's program. So we do provide the spiritual aspect as well.
What time Sunday service?
Sunday service is at 11 a.m.
Okay.
Sunday school is at 10. Sunday school is at 10 a.m.
At the
Salvation Army.
At the Salvation Army.
Yeah.
Is it because of COVID restrictions of people going in?
Right now, some of the programs have been canceled because of the COVID. Some of it has been put online. And then right now, we're going to be resuming again back having our services on Sunday at 11 a.m.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Hoping to have one around Christmas? Or?
We will have one on the Sunday of Christmas.
Sunday of Christmas.
The 2 days after.
Yeah. I'm curious. I mean, just with your years, your experience and whatever as you look to next year, what have you, in a sense, learned about your organization? I mean, I don't want to say do you want to change, but are you going to have to change the way you do stuff, even going ahead now?
We will need to adapt.
Okay.
We need to make some adjustments so that we don't wear out our staff and our people and our volunteers. Because we want to keep our volunteers and we want to keep our staff, you know.
Well, right, and that's why I'm curious, because it's not like, and we were talking about this with the state representative. It's sort of it's the same question, but a different thing. It's not like you can just add people.
No.
But the jobs have changed.
The jobs have changed. Yeah. Because it's 4 times, right now for our place, it's 4 times harder than before.
Right.
So how do we sustain our people to continue doing the job they're doing? You know, we have to look at all aspects. How can we make sure that they're not worn out?
Right. And do you get a chance to do that? I mean, it must be hard to do that in the midst of it.
Yep.
I mean, hopefully the vaccines, and I'm sure the vaccines will kick in, but I would assume that's when you look back and it's like, okay, this, I mean, I don't know what you do, but you got to look at changes, I guess.
Yeah, we do have to look at changes.
And you mentioned just technology is going to be the biggest thing.
Yep.
Do you find that, and I think I've asked you this before, but I just want to emphasize it, that the personal experience will still have to be there, though?
Yeah, absolutely. And that personal touch, that's what we're known for. That
right,
personal
exactly.
touch. And without that personal touch, that takes away who we are. So how do we keep continuing that effort? How can we continue sharing that personal touch with people without being a touchless society?
Right.
Being a contactless society. How can we do that? And we need to figure that out.
And the mayor, it's funny because the mayor's told us, departments to look, what do things look like after the vaccine and stuff. And I mean, you're in the same boat, but you don't know really what it looks like at this point.
How do you predict? How do you make a budget?
Yeah.
In the midst of a pandemic, how do you predict what program is going to happen or not going to happen?
Do you think? Well, that's a good question. Do you think, in a sense, programs will have to change? I mean, and I don't know if you had computer classes before, but would you have to have? Do you look and say, well, I need computer classes now?
Yep, or computer classes. We might not have computer classes. We might have to teach them.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Using computers.
Yeah.
Or ESL classes.
Yeah.
How do you do ESL classes? Do you limit how many people come in? Do you go to a smaller class size? Do you do 2 classes instead of 1?
Yeah.
How do you do that? How do you teach music to kids when you're not allowed to? You have to wear a mask.
So many things. Yeah.
So those questions have to ask, because we have a music program. We used to teach brass instruments. We used to teach piano. We used to teach dance.
And those are all hands-on and in
they're
person
all hands-on programs.
Yeah.
How do we keep our teachers safe so they can teach those courses?
Right.
And we got to regulate through that, because we're dealing. The classes we offer are not expensive classes, but they're expensive in what they are.
Right.
Brass, to learn brass is expensive, but we're offering them so that the lower class could have that opportunity.
Right.
So how do you protect everybody?
Lots to go on. For people who need to get in touch with you or the organization, give them your contact information.
508-997-6561 is our phone number. You can reach me at my email at michael.jung@usc.salvationarmy.org, or you can check our Facebook page as well.
Major, it's nice to talk to you. I wish you the best of luck for the holiday season, and we'll do this again in the next year for sure. Merry Christmas to you.
Thank you, Jim.
That's going to do it for this edition of A Conversation With. I'm Jim Marshall, the New Bedford Cable Network. Thanks for watching. Happy holidays.
Thank you.